Boy Green Daily is back for some New York Jets fun and festivities, and I've got a familiar face returning for the first time in a long time. Let's get into it. Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Connor Rodgers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
Good morning, all you beautiful people out there. My name is Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. This is Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show. It's quick. It's only 20 minutes, so I don't want to waste any time with all the tomfoolery because we're bringing in a special guest. And like I said, we're live here every morning at 7:30. And this is a guy I haven't seen in a long time visually here doing a show. And we used to work together at ESPN here in Syracuse. Now he's a big superstar at ESPN 98.7. Ty gosh darn Butler joining us here on the program. What's up, Ty?
Well, listen, I would be remiss if I didn't utter the same sentiments as, Field Yates and Connor Rodgers and my guy Trevor, who was on the program.
Yes,
the
sir.
best introductions
Wow.
introductions come from my guy, my dude, my homie, Boy Green. So I'm excited to be on the show. Got a lot to talk about. Shout out to you, man. You're doing a great job. Love the production, the intro, and all that's going on with you at Heavy. You doing sports radio at Syracuse. I'm proud of you, brother. So thanks for having me on today.
Well, thank you, man. Well, I want to get into this because I don't think I saw your original tweet take, but I saw your tweet yesterday, which hinted at it that you had some hesitancy. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I want to know the real story here. You had some feelings about Hard Knocks earlier in the offseason that apparently have changed since the Jets have officially been crowned. What was the original take and what has changed? Because I'm curious.
Candidly, when I first saw the rumors of Hard Knocks being a possibility, I said no thanks because this has all the makings of, same old Jets, comedy stand-up. You start the season with all these expectations. Rodgers is, bringing on Joe Rogan to give his anti-vax theories. You've got Quinnen Williams, punching Joe Douglas in the face because he hasn't given him a contract yet. We're broadcasting injuries, head coach, like all the drama that comes with the New York Jets in a year where you've got so much to gain, but also so much to lose. I wanted no part of it. And then, Paul, I'm going to be honest, it just smacked me in the face. Are we really going to get to the end of the year? Like, let's just say worst case scenario, the Jets go 6-11, Rodgers stinks, head coach fired, GM fired. Are we really going to get to the end of the season and say it all happened because they had a few extra cameras watching them in minicamp? That it makes no sense. It's just that in my DNA, I am conditioned to believe. I am conditioned to whenever I have a team that I love and my football team, whenever we come in with anything resembling hope or expectations, it is going to come crashing and burning down. So I've gone from that to now I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. If the year, I was talking to Mike Tannenbaum on my radio show last night, and he mentioned he mentioned the last time that the Jets were on Hard Knocks. What happened? Went to the AFC Championship game. So if this is the foreshadowing of things, if we can use the past to dictate what's going to happen in the future, I'm all for it, bro.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, these are just the stone cold facts. Hard Knocks has been a thing since 2001. The Jets, in that 2010, the only time they've ever been in it, are the most successful team in Hard Knocks history. The only team that has ever gone to a conference championship game. No one else has done that. So I just feel like the distraction thing is kind of lost. Your point is true that, you're going through and you're having all these potential things in your face. Quinnen Williams, we'll get into some of the storylines, but I just feel like the distraction thing means it's kind of kaput, especially since Damian Woody, the guy who was on Hard Knocks his last season in the NFL, what turned out to be, like he said, distraction, that doesn't mean anything. If he says that, I think it kind of kills the whole narrative that's kind of floating out there.
Well,
I
think
don't know.
about this. Think about this, Paul. If you are a team that is that fragile, where simply going on this little mini HBO series is going to fracture your locker room and cause such a distraction and uproar that it'll upend what is designed to be a good year, you were never that good to begin with. Like, let's be honest. Like, great teams aren't going to be plagued by this. And look, I heard the stat yesterday. The last 14 teams to go on Hard Knocks have won a combined one playoff game. I think part of that is like, think about it. Usually you have a young team. You have to qualify based on like you have been in the playoffs the last couple of years. You're not a rookie head coach, so you're a young team that's pretty inexperienced. That is why you are not having success. I think the Jets are in a different situation where they have a Hall of Fame quarterback. They've got a great defense, as we saw last year, talented weapons on offense. So I think that they'll do fine, and if they don't, it's not going to be because of this show.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more. And that's ultimately where we stand there. Again, Hard Knocks will be coming. We'll see, what is going to happen with a key couple of storylines. I guess we'll throw one at you right away, Ty. Do you believe Quentin Williams is going to get paid? Because if he's not, the last time the Jets were on Hard Knocks, we had this Roscoe Diner situation. Revis paid, not paid. What's going to happen? And ultimately, the drama unfolded perfectly for Hard Knocks because right before the Jets-Ravens season opener, he signs and it's all hunky-dory. But it wasn't necessarily hunky-dory building up. Are we getting another Roscoe Diner Quentin thing here?
Well, you remember 6 weeks ago, Robert Saleh just at his press conference said, "Yeah, it's going to happen." So that I was having trepidation prior to that, and that kind of calmed and quelled it. But I mean, the closer we get to minicamp, I'm starting to get a little antsy here because the last thing you need is just anything resembling a distraction. And I think football players, all athletes have egos, but we see these contracts kind of play out, in front of our eyes, like the all of the noise and all of the contentious interactions. So I'm hoping, and I don't have any inside information on it, but I'm hoping it gets done. He deserves his money. He was outstanding last year, and it's been a really good career for him so far. So I'm hoping that this doesn't trickle over because the last thing we need is the Darrelle Revis situation. We don't need that happening on our watch right now with everything that is going to be on the table for this team.
Well, that would not be the first time that Robert Saleh, had to stick his foot in his mouth because, he said almost emphatically, to your point, Tyler, like, "Oh, it's going to happen." Now we're less than a week out here; it hasn't happened yet. So, Coach, we're waiting on that one. And Robert Saleh, when asked about Hard Knocks, says, "Nah, we don't want it." Justin Hardy, one of the players on the team, a team captain for that matter, said, "No, it's going to be a distraction." I just don't get why those people said those things because now that it was inevitable, at least to me, that the Jets are getting Hard Knocks. Look at the Commanders, Saints, and Bears. Come on, man. I mean, let's be honest. We all knew the Jets were going to be on Hard Knocks. So when they said that noise, when they eventually did get Hard Knocks, Robert Saleh, when he's asked in a week, "Hey, Saleh, you said you didn't want Hard Knocks. Thoughts?" Like now he's going to have to answer that question because of that crap he said. I just don't get what the benefit was of that for him or even the player because there's always a chance it could have been on Hard Knocks and now you got to answer those questions. Seems dumb.
I think I hear you, but I also think that they were trying their best. Like Phil Jackson sometimes, and this is a cross-border. No, I'm not comparing Robert Saleh to Phil Jackson, but Phil Jackson sometimes would show up at a press conference and take some shots at the officials because he wanted to use his level of influence to, incite some type of reaction. Robert Saleh is not that. He's not Phil Jackson, but I think I can't believe that in his heart of hearts he was so afraid of Hard Knocks. I think that he didn't want to be on the show. I think that it is an unnecessary distraction that he didn't want to welcome into his building. So he had to put it out there that, look, we're not interested. But when it all comes down, he's the type of guy who's not going to let this plague him. He's going to say, look, we didn't want it. Whatever, we got it. We'll continue to keep the important stuff important, business as usual. Coach Saleh's phrases. So I think that's what's going to end up happening. Keep the
What's
main
the
thing.
storyline?
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Keep the main thing the main thing.
Yeah, let's put that on a T-shirt. Robert Saleh. Keep the main thing the main thing. Again, we got Ty Gashtar Butler here on the program. You can follow him on Twitter at Ty D Butler. Joining us here for Boy Green Daily. What storyline are you most looking forward to? Because there's a lot to pick from. Obviously, they are and I'm talking about Hard Knocks storyline that we could see. The Aaron Rodgers thing, Zach Wilson, Mekhi Becton. We mentioned the Quinnen Williams thing already. There's a lot of juicy stuff out there. What's the thing that draws your interest the most?
I mean, it has to be Aaron Rodgers. It has to be how he interacts with his players, with his coaches, and I think that he's actually pitched a perfect game, to use a baseball analogy. So far, we've seen him attend. I was at a Knicks game. He was at a Knicks playoff game. He was at. We've seen him go to Ranger games. He was at the Tony Awards. So he's done everything in his power to kind of quell that noise of him being a distraction, a cancer, a diva. So I'm looking forward to see how that translates into training camp when the cameras are rolling, because I do think that we sometimes overrate the power of the media. Yeah, Rodgers is going to be played. Rodgers is a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's won 4 MVPs. He's won a Super Bowl. I don't think he's going to be afraid of cameras. Now, is there a chance that something controversial can be picked up, in the midst of his frustration? Sure, but I think he's going to handle himself well. But as far as like what I'm most looking forward to, I don't want to say Quinnen Williams, because I'd like to believe that that's going to be done by the time Hard Knocks starts.
Smart man.
I'm looking forward to seeing Rodgers, a polarizing, you could argue, the most polarizing player in all of football, the guy with the most pressure amongst quarterbacks in the sport, and him coming into a situation with a team that is in desperate need of him saving them, because if they miss the playoffs again this year, we're going to see a whole lot of changes.
Yeah, that's for sure. No doubt about it. There will be heads rolling. Again, Ty Butler, basketball analogies, baseball analogies. You get a multifaceted approach when you bring Ty Butler on the show. Although, Ty, what you just said, you said you were at the next game. Sauce, Aaron Rodgers, Ty Butler. Where the hell were you? Where is the Rodgers hookup? ESPN 98.7. Where's your courtside seats, baby? What's going on?
By the time Rodgers called me over, the cameras had already, departed. It was tough to get a picture. And, he's got a lot on his mind. He's hanging out with, I guess, the second best cornerback in all of football, according to the rankings, right? He's hanging out with him. He's watching the Knicks win playoff games. Got a lot on his mind. I don't want to, give him trouble for photos. So I had to lay low there.
I appreciate you clearing that up. A lot of people have been asking in the mentions about that, so I can truly appreciate that. And then let's go to another one here. Mekhi Becton will, of course, also be a storyline in all of this. Does he have a legitimate chance to play left tackle, or is this one of those faux competitions like last year? And Robert Saleh, the first day of training camp, said, George Fant's my left tackle, Mekhi Becton's my right. But he played around for months and then just dropped the hammer once we got to camp. Is that the same thing going to happen here in training camp this time around?
So I think that because, Paul, this, from the moment he was drafted, we raved about his talent and what his ceiling could be. And we saw it in year one. Brian Baldinger's putting out videos that had me so excited about his potential, because I'm not going to pretend to be this offensive line guru. There are a lot better and more trained eyes who can see things that I'm not necessarily watching for, over the course of a game on Sunday. So when I watch the tape and I hear people break it down, you are so, seduced by what he can be in his ceiling. I think there is a legitimate shot that he could come in and win the job. But I think you had the stat the other day in an article, in a piece you put out. He's played 48 snaps the last 2 years.
That's correct. Yes.
You look at the amount of games he's missed. It is. I cannot go into this season banking on Mekhi Becton. Anything I get from him is a plus. And I was not excited, but I was happy to see him come out and be candid about what he's going through and how tough the journey's been. He has to be motivated. It's a contract season. The Jets didn't pick up his 5th-year option. I would like to believe that because of the motivation of him coming back, him being looked upon as a bust, because he's geared up for what would be his second contract, and the ceiling he has, the combination of all those things, it's going to come together, but I'm not banking on it. Anything you get from him is a plus, and I'll be excited to see it. I just can't bank on it.
All right, let's throw one more quick and then we'll get into our schedule prediction contest, which people you have to enter. But before we get there, the other underlying storyline is, of course, kind of the kickoff to this hopefully magical season for the Jets, Hall of Fame weekend. I'll be there. It's going to be beautiful. Darrelle Revis, Joe Klecko, the Hall of Fame game itself. Any thoughts on anything there? I know Revis has made your guys' show a few times over the last handful of weeks, but Revis, Klecko getting in. One guy getting in year of eligibility number 30, one getting in first ballot. Revis, Klecko, what do you make of all that?
Well, first of all, I started the show with, hashtag same old Jets. This just gave ammunition to all the
Yeah.
people who love trolling the Jets. It's like,
Mhm.
well, 2015, all you had to do was win one game against a bad team, against your former head coach to get into the playoffs. You're a quarterback, those 3 second half interceptions, you're done. Same old Jets. These same old Jets who have given their fans miserable season after miserable season can't even march into Canton correctly. Like, you got two Hall of Famers. You can't even go into the ceremony feeling good about it because there's beef and there's drama. So I didn't love what Revis did. And I understand he went on Jake Asman's show and, tried to clean it up because he said there was some, bad blood between the two guys, just, behind the scenes. But I just hated that had to become a big storyline. As far as, the actual talent of the players, Joe Klecko, one of the best in Jet history. Of course, Darrelle Revis, probably the best player in Jet history. Some would argue, Curtis Martin. You can go a lot of ways, Joe Namath. But me being able to watch Revis in his prime, I actually went back yesterday. NFL put out a highlight package of his 2009 season. We remember how great it was. Sometimes you need to go back and be reminded just how special of a player Darrelle Revis was. And he's become a guy who, people don't know how to feel about him. He went to New England, won a championship, had the holdout. Now he's going at Joe Klecko. But I'm excited for it. It is great to see one of the best players, I guess you can say, in NFL history, right? Like, he's one of the best corners ever.
I mean, yeah.
Going into Canton, wearing this jersey, it is a time for us Jet fans to be proud of because, that's the last time we experienced, back-to-back seasons of success. Like, he's shutting guys out. So I'm looking forward to it, man. It's going to be a pretty special ceremony. So it's one that I can't wait for.
Yeah, guys, let's get right into it, and we'll end with the cherry on top. Gilbert asking about this schedule prediction contest. We're streaming live in 3 different places. Our Heavy on Jets Facebook page to 30,000 Jet fans, my YouTube channel, and my Twitter account. The link in every one of these postings, wherever you're watching this right now, is connected to the post. If you click on that, you scroll down, you'll see details on the schedule prediction contest. Here's how it works. This is how you enter. It's free to enter, and the winner will get a Jets jersey of their choice and a bunch of other prizes. Again, it's free. All you have to do is click in the link down below, read the instructions, go down to the comment section, and predict who the Jets will beat, who they will lose to, and whatever the record is, 12-5, 5-12, whatever you think, and you get it right, you will be entered into the contest to win free stuff. So, Gilbert, you're in there. Anyone can be in there. Right now, we only got 12 friggin' people. 12 people. I'm trying to give things away, but I'm like, I'm not so sure. What do you mean you're not so gosh darn sure? Enter the friggin' contest, for Pete's sake. It's like, I've got a bag of money here. Take it. But you're like, I'm not. Yeah, take the gosh darn bag of money. So, anywho, make sure you guys enter. What the frig are you doing? More the merrier. And I'll lead that into you, Ty Butler. What is your schedule prediction for the New York Jets this year? What's the record?
All right, so let's. I gotta go win loss real quick. So I got them beating Buffalo, Dallas, and New England 3-0 to start the season. They lose at home to Kansas City. They 3-1. They go on the road in Denver and win. They're 4-1. They come back and lose to the defending NFC champion Eagles 4-2. They come home for a road game to play the Giants. 5-2, come home for the Chargers. 6-2. I think they go to Vegas and Buffalo and get back-to-back losses. So that's 6-4. Come home, beat Miami. 7-4, beat Atlanta. 8-4, beat Houston. 9-4. Go to Miami and lose. That is 9-5. Come home to beat Washington. 11-5. 10-5, I should say. Go to Cleveland and win in Cleveland. They are 12-5, and then I think they're not going to sweep the Patriots. So they'll lose in New England to get them to, what did I say, 12-5?
So you'll be 12-5 overall record.
12-5
That's what
overall.
you have,
yeah. 11-5, or 11-4, then 12-5.
Okay, beautiful. Which, by the way, 12 wins would tie the best mark in Jets regular season history. They've never won more than 12 games in a single season, so they would
By the
tie
way,
it. Not too shabby. Yeah.
let me throw something real quick at you because I
Yeah,
talked
please
about
do.
this last night on my show. You're hearing
Mhm.
rumors now and rumblings. Belichick could be on the hot seat. Things haven't
Ooh,
gone so
yeah.
swimmingly. You know, the debacle with the offensive coordinators last year. Mac
Mhm.
Jones regressed. They've been awful drafting. Haven't made the playoffs since Brady left. You realize, Paul, that the Jets go to Foxborough Week 18, a game, place they haven't won since 2010. Let's say they
Mm.
win that game, knock the Patriots out of the playoff picture,
Mm.
possibly gets Coach Belichick fired because the Jets, it comes full circle. You know, I'm
That'd be
retiring as
beautiful.
8th seed at the NYJ. Jets go to Foxborough, kick him in the fanny. He gets fired. I don't know, Paul. I'm starting to fantasize a little. Not that I want to see people lose their jobs, but considering what Belichick has
Oh, I
done to
do.
us,
Oh,
oh,
I definitely want to see him lose their job. Again, as the ref said, 20, 30 some odd years ago, giving him the business. That's what I want to see the Jets do in week 18. So I would take great pleasure in that old man losing his job. So we'll see what happens there. This was fantastic. Ty, like I said, 7 years, 8 years. I don't even know how long it's been since the last time we did one of these shows. You're a freaking superstar in New York. Not surprised with your stardom rise. And thanks for joining us, man, on this show. And I'm sure it won't be the last time.
anytime, man. Looking forward to being back on with you.
There he is, Ty D. Butler of ESPN 98.7. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow morning at 7:30. Take care.